are reusable objects. And as we can see, recyclable is in fashion in the world. That is why it's important to name these items so that people realize that these are very interesting objects. This is the life cycle as we know it, but this is information that we must be aware of. For example, a disposable plate needs 3.6 liters of water to be manufactured. These graphs from Wisdom Wheel study are very important. Using 500 disposable glasses, take 370 gallons of water, whereas when we use a cup, we only use a few liters of water. So, of course, in single-use objects, we take lots of materials. We divide this and we can see the concepts that you may know, you may be aware of. This is information that is very interesting. On average, in restaurants, we use a plate for 2,000 times, so it avoids transportation and production of 2,000 plates.
In Ecuador, we realize that in the food courts, all the plates, glasses, and cutleries are single use. In Ecuador, food courts are very popular with a great variety of food, and therefore the amount of waste generated is tremendous. I'm going to show you in a video what we do. It's the easiest way to do so. And then I'll tell you how. Huella Verde is a B corporation focused on replacing single-use packaging with reusable containers in the food sector. This is a sector that generates the most pollution. In Ecuador, there are at least 60 food courts where all food and beverages are served in single-use plastics and all waste is mixed with the trash. This waste is collected by municipalities and taken to landfills, generating negative impacts on the environment and human health. In 2024, we were able to consolidate our model that transforms food courts into zero-waste locations. We established partnerships with each shopping center where we installed industrial washing stations and reusable tableware storage. Every day, we deliver to our customers 141 restaurants, including Ecuador's leading fast food brands, a total of 85,000 ceramic plates, stainless steel cutlery, and polycarbonate cups. This is the amount of single-use plastic we are avoiding daily. By December 2024, we reached 50 million disposable items avoided. We have been working with Huella Verde for over 7 years. Our collaboration with Huella Verde was primarily due to our sustainable management model. We are present in 10 food courts, 15 shops, and 9 brands currently work with them. It fills us with pride, and for Huella Verde, we will always be willing to join them, reaching out to more food courts. To achieve sorting at the source, we install collection stations where we separated tableware and materials that can be recovered. An average of 2 tons of organics and 200 kilos of recyclable material are delivered every day to managers who allocate them to agricultural projects and recycling. We are closing 2024 in 4 cities in Ecuador: Quito, Ambato, Guayaquil, and Manta, with 10 partner shopping centers: Paseo San Francisco, Mall de los Andes, Mall El Jardín, Mall del Sol, San Marino Shopping, Centro Shopping, CCI, Mall del Pacífico, Centro Sur, and Portal Shopping. And we have a pilot test in Chile too. And we are one of the largest food courts in the country. responsibly. The challenge and responsibility were enormous, but it was extremely gratifying to see how the user response ultimately generated positive organic feedback that nowadays confirms that our decision to partner with Huella Verde was one
Promovemos
of the
una
best. We
cultura de
promote a
reuso
culture of
para lo cual
reuse by
apoyamos campañas que
supporting
resalten los beneficios
campaigns
de
that
los
highlight the
envases
benefits of
reusables.
reusable
Por ejemplo,
containers.
con
For
un sistema
instance,
de reuso
with a
como el
reuse
nuestro,
system
no
like
solo se
ours,
evitan una
we
gran
not only
cantidad de
avoid a large
residuos,
amount of
sino
waste,
también todas
but
las
also
emisiones
all the
derivadas de la
emissions
producción
stemming
y
from
transporte de los
production and
desechables.
transport of
También se
disposable
ahorra agua,
containers.
porque
We also
producir un
save
envase
water because
desechable
producing a
gasta al
disposable
menos 10
container
veces
uses at
más
least
agua
10
que lavar
times
un
more
plato.
water than washing a
También genera
dish.
empleo.
They
Por
also
ejemplo,
generate
el dinero que se
employment. For
utilizaba
instance, the
para
money that
envases
was
que
used for
terminaban en la basura,
packaging that ended
ahora
up in the
son el
trash
ingreso de
is now used
79
as income for
colaboradores de Huella Verde.
79 Huella Verde
Actualmente trabajo cinco
employees. I've
años.
been
Es un
working here for
trabajo
5 years.
genial
It's a great
porque
job
me ha ayudado a crecer
because it's helped me to
personalmente
grow
y
personally and
profesionalmente.
professionally.
Nuestro objetivo es
Our
replicar
goal
nuestro
is to
modelo
replicate
circular
our
en otros
circular
espacios de
model in
comida
other
de
food
Ecuador y
courts in
Latinoamérica
Ecuador and
e
Latin
incentivar a
America
todos a
and
reusar.
encourage everyone to reuse.
Bueno, con el video pudieron ver,
With the
como
video,
me
you
gustaría
were
que vean en los
able
patios de comida, pero es la
to
forma más fácil.
see what we do. It would
Entonces,
have been
¿cómo le
better to go
hacemos?
to a
Es
food
como
court,
que
of
nos
course. How do we
inventamos
do
dos
this?
servicios.
We
Uno que
have
es
invented two
reemplazar los
services,
desechables por
one to
reusables y
replace
el segundo, que
disposables by
además lo que no pudimos
reusables,
evitar,
and
se clasifica y
secondly,
se
what we
gestiona,
weren't able
los
to
orgánicos y
avoid,
los
we
reciclables. Entonces,
sort
para eso
and
tenemos que
manage.
convencer primero a
So
los
first
centros
of all, we have
comerciales.
to
Tenemos
convince the
que
shopping
hacer que
malls,
ellos nos entreguen un área en
making
el mismo
them
patio de
give
comidas
us room in the
donde
food
nosotros
court
podamos instalar
where
un
we
área de
can
lavado y
install
almacenamiento
an
de vajilla
area for
y nosotros hacemos la
storing
inversión
and
y
washing
contratamos el personal.
tableware. We
Con
make the
esto,
investment and
nosotros
hire
les
staff.
ofrecemos un
With
servicio
this, we
que es como
offer
un
a
alquiler más
service that is
lavado
a
de
sort of
vajilla a los
rental
restaurantes.
plus
Y lo que
washing
hacemos
of
es competir con el
tableware
precio
for
del desechable.
restaurants, and we compete
Aquí se
with the
utiliza
price of
poliestireno expandido,
reusables.
que
We
es lo más
used
barato,
expanded
que un plato puede
polystyrene, which is
costar
the
5 o 6
cheapest.
centavos.
A
Nosotros
dish
le
can
damos
cost
cada
or a
plato
plate
a
can
5 o
cost
6 centavos.
five
Tratamos de
cents,
cobrar un
six
poquito más, pero es difícil.
and
Pero
six
logramos
cents.
que
We
sea algo
charge a
parecido,
little more,
entonces
but
a ellos
something
no les
similar
cuesta más.
to
Y su
what they
comida
use
se sirve
nowadays, so it
mejor,
doesn't
el
cost them
cliente está
more.
feliz porque
The
tiene una
customer
mejor
is happy
experiencia.
because of a
Además,
better
como vieron,
experience.
la segunda
As
parte
you
es que
may have
vimos
seen,
que
the
los
second
reciclables
in
y
the
los
second
orgánicos
part,
iban mezclados y
recyclables and
esto también
organics
es una
were
preocupación.
mixed
Entonces,
in the waste, and this
eliminamos
is a
los
matter of
basureros, le
concern.
pedimos al
So
centro
we
comercial que quite
eliminated the
los basureros y
bins. We
reemplace
told
por
them to
unas
remove
estaciones
them
de clasificación
and that they
donde
be
se pone
replaced by
todo en su
sorting
lugar.
stations.
Comenzamos en
We
2018,
started
finales
back
del
in
2017, con un
2018. At
centro
the
comercial.
end of
En
2017
2019
with
fuimos
one
al
shopping
segundo.
mall. In
En la
2019,
pandemia
we
fue
moved on to
terrible
the
porque se
second. During
cerró
the
todos los
pandemic,
centros
it was
comerciales,
terrible
la
because all
gente luego
shopping
ya no
malls were
iba aunque ya se hayan
closed, and
abierto.
then people didn't
Pero
go even
logramos
if
en
they were
2021
open.
por
But in
fin entrar al
2021,
tercer
finally,
centro
we were
comercial,
able to get into the
2022
third
al
shopping mall.
cuarto,
In
que es el más
2022, the
grande del
fourth, which
país,
is the biggest in our
2023 a
country.
tres
In
más y
2023,
2024 a
we
cuatro
entered
más.
three more
Por eso
and
estamos
access
ya
four
en
more
1000
in
centros comerciales,
2024. So it's 10
11 patios de
shopping
comida
malls
porque
all
un centro
told,
comercial tiene
11
dos
food
patios de
courts
comida.
because one of them has two
Como
food
vieron, ya
courts.
evitamos 50 millones de
We've
desechables,
avoided 50
que esto
million
equivale a
disposable items,
529 toneladas de
equivalent
basura
to
y
529 tons of waste
4.108
and
emisiones de CO2.
4,108 emissions of
También
CO2.
ahorramos agua, como
We've
les
also
decía,
saved
lavar un
water, as
plato
I said
gasta
before.
mucho menos agua,
Washing
entre
plates
30 y 10
needs
veces menos
less
agua que
water, 20 to
producir un
30
plato, sea
times
compostable,
less
sea
than
de plástico.
producing a plate,
Después
whether
también con lo
it
que
is
hacemos en las
compostable or
estaciones de
plastic. What
clasificación,
we do at the
hemos,
sorting
recuperamos muchos
stations is
orgánicos
to
que se iban
recover
a la
lots of
basura,
organic
que
matter that
son
went into the
aproximadamente 2
trash,
toneladas al día.
approximately 2 tons per day.
Y los reciclables
And
también ayudamos a que se separen,
recyclables,
que
well, we
también
try and sort them
el
to
peso no es tanto
separate
como los
them.
orgánicos, pero es muy
It's not as much
significativo y
as
esto
in the
ayuda en el
field of
trabajo de los
organics, but
recicladores.
this helps waste pickers, no doubt.
Terminamos de nuevo. Ustedes vieron el video 79, porque teníamos 80, pero por ahí fluctúa la
Had
cantidad de
80 workers
trabajadores
at
que
some
están
point.
ahora
We went
viviendo
down to
de huella verde.
79.
Y
They
esto
are
realmente es una prioridad
earning
porque
their
ellos
income
hacen
through
posible
Huella
todo el
Verde.
trabajo
They
y nos
make
damos
all
cuenta que es
this
una forma de
possible, and we
crear
realize it's a
empleo
way
digno en el
of
Ecuador.
creating decent
Hay
jobs in
empleos
Ecuador.
indirectos, como
There are
nosotros
indirect
capacitamos a las
jobs.
personas de los
We
centros comerciales que
train
clasifican,
people at the
también a
shopping
los
malls in
gestores de los
charge of
orgánicos, de los
sorting, and also the
reciclables.
managers of organic and
Y bueno,
recyclable
estamos muy contentos
material. And we are
de ver que
very
ha tenido
happy to
acogida y
see
queremos
that
difundir
this
más
has
nuestro
been most
mensaje,
welcome,
que
and we
es
want to
más
further
reutilizables,
disseminate our
menos
message.
desechables,
More
tratando de llegar a
reusables,
más espacios.
less
Esto es, por ejemplo, una
disposables.
minga que se limpia un río y se
This
usaban vasitos desechables. Entonces
well,
nosotros estamos llevando
we
siempre
used
nuestros
to
vasos
clean
y luego
a
lavamos
river,
para
and we
que no se usen
used
desechables.
disposable glasses while there, but now we take
Eso
our
es
own
Huella Verde.
glasses.
Con mucho gusto
This
al
is
final
what Huesa Verde is all
puedo
about.
responder preguntas.
At the end, I
Tenemos
can
también
entertain questions, of course.
con Mingas
And
por el Mar una campaña
Mingas por
que se
el
llama
Mar has
reusa.es
launched a
para
campaign
empujar el tema del
used
reuso y una iniciativa para el delivery, para la comida
reusa.ec,
para llevar, que
and
se
an
llama Vital,
initiative for
que está en
deliveries
Europa y en
called
otras partes y
Vital
nosotros
that's present
queremos
in
sacarla
Europe
en
and
Ecuador también.
elsewhere, and we want
Muchas
to
gracias.
have it in Ecuador too. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Andrea, pour ta présentation.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for your
Très
presentation.
enrichissante,
It was very
très inspirante pour
interesting
moi
and very
qui vis au
inspiring
Sénégal
for
et
me, who
presque
lives
un
in
petit peu jalouse
Senegal. And I'm
parce que tu as
almost
réussi
jealous,
à
actually,
allier
because you
réemploi,
managed
gestion des
to
déchets organiques
talk about
et ménage de la
reuse and waste
responsabilité.
management, and
Donc,
even talked
c'est mon
about
rêve.
waste
Donc,
pickers. So this is a dream for me to be able to talk
je
about
compte
all of
bien
this. And
m'accompagner pour qu'on
I
puisse
really want
s'inspirer
to
pour les
connect
petits
with you so that you
Sénégalais
can inspire me even
et,
further in the
pour les
future.
projets au Sénégal. Merci
And to
beaucoup
help me
pour ta
maybe with my projects
générosité et
in
merci
Senegal.
pour
Thank
la
you so much
présentation.
for your generosity, and
Alors
thank you for your
maintenant,
presentation.
on
So
va
now
prendre les
we are
questions pour
going
Andrea dans le
to
chat.
take questions
Donc
for
si tu
Andrea,
peux
and you're
envoyer des
going
questions à
to
Andrea
ask
dans le
your
chat et à la
questions
fin,
in the
elle
chat.
pourra y répondre.
And then at the
Donc
very end,
si
she
vous
will be
voulez
able to
voir
answer
des
your
doutes
questions. So if
ou
you
une meilleure
have some doubts,
incompréhension,
or
n'hésitez
if you
pas.
want her to
Et là
clarify
maintenant,
something,
on
please don't
va
hesitate to write a
présenter
message in the
une petite
chat.
vidéo
Now
de
we're going
Bianca
to show you a
Fernandez.
video from
Bianca travaille depuis 3 ans et
Bianca
demi au sein du
Fernandez.
département moyen du
She has
Finistère
worked for
de
3 years
Hassiroudala, où elle se
at
consacre au renforcement des
Hasirodala.
centres de collecte de
She
déchets
works
et à
on
la mise en
waste,
place de programmes de
dry waste
sensibilisation à
management,
la gestion
and
des
she
déchets organiques
works
en
for different
collaboration avec
programs
les
to
habitants,
help
les
manage
étudiants, les
waste, and she works
responsables
in collaboration with students, residents,
de la
and
collectivité et
people
les organisations
responsible
partenaires.
for in
Au
the
cours des 2 dernières
municipality and
années,
different
elle a
partners. The
créé un
past two
contenu
years, she has
éducatif
created
complet sur les principes graves en
educative
matière de déchets. L'année dernière,
content
elle s'est aussi engagée dans une
related
activité
to
de
waste,
plaidoyer
and
et de
she
la
also
création
did
de
some
politiques en
advocacy
promouvant
and
activement
created
l'inclusion
different
des ramasseurs de
policies by
déchets dans les communes
promoting the
liées
inclusion
aux
of
déchets et
waste
au climat. Elle
pickers.
sait que c'est essentiel
And we
pour
know
agir
that it is very important
donc,
to
on va
include
vous
them
présenter tout de
in
suite
terms of what's happening with climate
sa
change.
vidéo.
So we're
Ça
going to
sera
start a video
diffusé
right
très
now.
vite sur
Bianca
elle,
is
mais toutes
not
les
present today
questions
because
que vous
it's
pourrez lui
obviously too
poser
late for her where she
seront
is,
partagées
but you
avec elle et
can
elle répondra à
ask
ces
your questions
questions
at the end, and
en
we will
mail, en
share
vous
your questions
répondant.
with her,
Donc,
and we will answer them via email when we
c'est
send
parti pour
after
la
we receive the
présentation.
feedback from her when she received the questions. So now here is the presentation from Bianca. Apologies, everyone. I'm just having a bit of a tech issue, but it will be resolved shortly.
Hi, everybody. This is Bianca. I'm the IBC Manager and Policy Advocate at Hasrudala. I'm here to talk a little bit about the reuse initiatives that we have done in Hasrudallah along with our waste pickers and the informal waste sector that exists in our country. To begin with, I'll talk a little bit about the organization. So, Hasrudallah is a social impact organization that works for the social justice of waste pickers. So we aim to bring recognition to waste pickers and the informal waste collectors and their contribution in the waste management sector. So Hasrudala literally means green force in Kannada. That is a native language of Karnataka. So that was about some of the information that we spoke about dry waste collection centers and the material in the textile recovery facilities. So coming to reuse initiative by waste pickers, right? So I want to give you a little small stories about how our waste pickers are really looking into these reuse markets. So on our left hand, we have Bharati. This is basically in one of the towns that is Hubli. She started a plate bank, that is cutlery bank, along with her SAG group. So if you can see down, it's a small card that they have a picture of them, and they've written their mobile number. So when we spoke to Bharati about, how did she get the idea of plate bank, she said we had gone to an event and they said not to use plastic waste. And then she spoke to Nalini and the Hasrudala team. We can do something about it, and that is when they came about this idea of starting a plate bank. And she says that it's right now they have 500 plates and 500 glasses and 200 spoons. So they rent each set. So each set has one plate, one spoon, and one small bowl. And they rent it out for 3 rupees each for each set. So then she said the total investment that she had to put for this initiative was about 1.65 lakhs. And she hires 3 people whenever they go and whenever they are invited to these events to use the, cutlery. And yeah, so this is how they have started this plate bank initiative in a small town, in a small city like Hubli. So when we asked them, where did you get the money from? So a part of the investment was done by the SAG group, the savings that they already had, and some support was provided by Hasrudala. And then we asked her, how did you market or how did you let people know about your initiative? So they called for a press meet. They had brochures. So they spoke about this initiative in the press about how they are doing this. And she very sweetly said that we felt like professionals, so we had to dress up well. We make sure we put lipstick, we comb our hair, and go to these events so that we look professional. So this is one of the story of Bharati in Hubli of a reuse initiative. Towards your right, you can see Indumati. So this is Indumati's story about how she started collecting beer bottles separately. So when she went around these local bars, she saw a lot of these beer bottle waste around that area. And when she went to the local bar and told that I can collect these beer bottles, they said they'll give her 2 rupees per bottle. So then she spoke to her team, and there were 10 people who were willing to go and collect these beer bottles. So she said, okay, we'll pay you 2.5 rupees, so that they have a profit of 50 paise. And this is the rate of reuse they would get for collecting these bottles. So this was an initiative that she started. So she says that beer bottles are really high during summers, and during winters the numbers really come down. So during summers they collect about an average of 50,000 bottles per day, and sometimes it comes down. So an average of 36,000 beer bottles per day is collected by 10 of the team members of Indumati. So when you're talking about reuse for beer bottles, right? She says that there is a vendor who comes and takes these bottles, where he washes it, and then he sells it to the company for reuse. But the problem is there's no proper infrastructure to store these bottles, and there is always some damage that happens when you transport these glass bottles. So whatever gets damaged goes to the recycling of these bottles, and that whatever is intact goes to these reuse market. So there are some limitations in these reuse initiatives that were started by Indumati. And beer bottles, like Indumati, there are other operators and dry waste collection centers that do the same thing. And coming back to reuse initiative, that is the cutlery bank. What I wanted to say is that these when we asked Bharti about where do you store them, so again she said that they do not have like a proper place to store these cutleries. So half is stored in their homes, and some of them is stored in Hasrudallah office. So there are challenges in this system as well. Now we come to how do we really include waste pickers and other waste workers of informal economy. So we definitely need strong policies and standards in place. When we talk about strong policies, when we are formulating, say, reuse policies, we should make sure that there are representatives from all the stakeholders in the value chain, and make sure that companies who are producing these packages really sit and understand from the grassroots level what is the issue, and how do we really integrate them into the system. And proven skills and knowledge of reuse and recycling economy. And when companies are designing these products, packages, make sure that it is made for reuse. And how do you integrate policies and standards that actually looks at covering infrastructure costs, transportation costs. Lot of investment needs to happen, and technology that needs to happen. And how do we actually make these investments for the informal sector. So now, if there is no informal sector, then there is if there is no waste picker who puts their hand in waste, segregates it, then the value chain itself will not exist. So how do we really make investment in this informal sector? Right? So we can look at capacity building, infrastructure, what equipments they need for this new reuse market. And how do we really look at forming collectives of waste pickers? A sole waste picker may not be able to reach as much as a collective can reach. So how do we really mobilize waste pickers to actually come and form collectives to start these new markets? And waste pickers and informal sector has aspirations just not to remain as workers, and how do they become entrepreneurs and go to this next level. So we have to create an economy that supports living income and just not the minimal wage that that a worker deserves. So it's about investing, it's about sustainability, it's about scalability for just transition of waste pickers and informal sector in this reuse market for this opportunity. And thank you, Gaia and BFFP. I hope this was interesting. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup pour l'enregistrement. On vous partagera les slides.
Thank you so much for this recording. We will share the slides with you. It will be a bit more detailed than what you've just heard. It's very interesting to see how waste speakers can be included in the system, reuse system, because obviously when you have projects in Gaia, we try to have projects that will follow a just transition, that will include every layers of the population, and to make sure that those projects will bring them something, and that they can use all these projects and that they can work in better conditions. Thank you so much. If you have questions, please, you can ask them in the chat, and then we will send them to Bianca, and we will give you the answers. So now I'm going to give the floor to Mohamed while he shares his screen with you. Mohamed is from Greenwich Hut. He's a specialist in waste management, and he's actually working on issues related to plastic waste. And Mohamed, he has created a mega project which aims to test projects on the ground. And the aim is to obviously to reduce waste. And I was very inspired by this project because Mohamed is part of our working group on the reuse. And really, I'm really happy to have this presentation by Mohamed. So thank you so much to share this presentation with us and with everyone present here today. So I will give you the floor now.
Thank you very much, Farima, and hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. So I've already been introduced, so I'm going to get straight into it. What I'm presenting to you today is a pilot. It is not a full project yet. We're still going through the journey. We still believe we're at a very early stage as well, but it's a pilot project where we've been working in a local community that I'm going to give an introduction to for the past 5 years. And our sort of natural conclusion in terms of the intervention needed was to have a local system, a local deposit and reuse and refill system in place at the village level. Now, the name Darb Eid, Darb means path, and Eid means also celebration in Arabic, but also has another meaning, which is to repeat. So it's a sort of name of the project for continuous repetition, continuous reuse over and over again. And that name symbolizes what the project aims to do. The core problem that we're trying to focus on at a very high level. So I'm presenting this as someone who works in Egypt. We have a very poor solid waste management system. It's very fragmented. The informal sector does not work very well with the formal sector. There's different realities between urban and rural areas. I will follow up a little bit also on the presentation that Andrea gave in the start. It will be useful to refer to it with regards to reuse and refill definitions. But specifically, rural areas in Egypt are much more isolated from solid waste services, and they have way more leakage. So the two pictures you see in front of you are from a village called Menchei Dahshur. Now, Menchei Dahshur is located outside Greater Cairo. It's at the very start of the southern sort of strip of the Nile River in Egypt, at the very start of Upper Egypt. And it's a very ancient village. This village has been around for thousands of years, and it's well known for its pyramids. So there's a lot of ancient pyramids. This is where the ancient pharaohs used to try to develop their tombs And up until they reached a conclusion, the king Senefru was the last one to finally make a perfectly 3D triangular pyramid, which was the Dahshur pyramid. And then his sons, Khufu and Khafra, made the great pyramids of Giza. So it's a village with a lot of historical significance. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't get that much attention and it doesn't get that much development. And because of that, the situation on the ground is unfortunately a lot of pollution. Now, there's different forms of pollution, but the focus we have here is solid waste pollution. Manshaid Dahshur is a village of 40,000 people. It's the purple area you see in front of you in the map. You can see around it, there's a lot of greenery that mainly predominantly is agricultural activity. And it's a lot of anthropogenic agricultural activity, meaning that humans built canals that allowed us to sort of conduct agricultural activity in those places. The village was never intended to be that big, but over time, with rapid population increase over the past 30 and 40 years, it became very congested. So, Manshaid Dahshur, we've been working in Manshaid Dahshur since 2019 as an organization. My organization is Greenish, and we've been working with a few other partners. And the journey is very important before I get into the reuse and refill, because that's actually a core part of our pilot. So, we did our very first study was focused on two things. One, we wanted to understand the severity of solid waste issues in the village. And two, we wanted to build a better community relationship. And over 1 year, we conducted a solid waste assessment where we did a very basic waste characterization study, meaning we were able to characterize and calculate how much solid waste does the community generate, right? So that allows us to understand, is this waste from the community or is it coming with the canal? What are the types of waste that exist, etc. This was very useful. Also, in this activity, we were able to map out where does the waste accumulate and for how long. So we got a very solid understanding of, obviously this was 5 years ago, of the solid waste on the ground in the village. And this was by chance because we were able to do this activity as part of a tourism development project called Visit Badrashin that was taking place in Dahshur. So Visit Badrashin took place over a considerable period of time, and we utilized the fact that this project was there. The project was trying to promote rural tourism in Dahshur, and because if you're trying to promote tourism but there's a lot of pollution around you, tourists are not going to be too happy, right? So we use that momentum and the interest from the local community to spark discussions and dialogue around solid waste and leakage. And that was part of our study. And the years that followed, we continued to discuss with the local community, that is me at a much younger age, the issues that they have on the ground, the accumulation of waste, the burning of waste. So as you can see till now, the story is very much focused on solid waste. Now, come 2024, and we took part in a project. We were fundraising for quite a bit to get back on track and continue working on solutions. And Fairville it's a European funded project. I think it's a EU Horizon funded project. And we were one of the trial labs of this project, still ongoing. And Fairville focuses on co-production. It's working with the local community and a research or academic body work together to co-produce community solutions. And through Fairville, we've been able to conduct a lot of engagement sessions with the local community of Manshaid Dahshur in the village. We were also able to map what are the existing models for use and refill. And this was very interesting. At the very start, it was not intentional until we actually created Dar Baid and it started to become more intentional. We started to realize people in Manshaid Dahshur do not use plastic bottles at all. So you don't have a plastic bottle value chain. People refill their water on a daily or weekly basis. An example here is by the cart that is dragged by a horse. They pay a monthly fee and they are able to recharge their water on a weekly basis. So we start to map out these solutions. We also started to discuss with the community, what if we introduce a new model, a new supply chain, a new way to purchase your products? And this discussion, in the beginning, we thought would be quite strategic, short. It was not. It took a very long time of engagement with the local community to understand how can we navigate the existing value chains. So after we finished that, we started to do additional mapping activities, bearing in mind that we did the solid waste mapping 5 years ago. Now we're in 2025. And we did a mapping of the socioeconomic activity in the village. So the map you see in front of you here is a map of the houses, the shops that are in the place, the commercial activity, where are they concentrated? And I mean, this data obviously is very important because once you map this data, you're able to understand where is also the generation of waste. Where are the areas where people are purchasing the products? One of the key findings we really realized during this phase was just how much rural areas in Egypt are flooded with single-use products. A lot of products that you would likewise could get in higher quality packaging or no packaging, you're more likely to get in single-use packaging in a village. And you're more likely to get in poor packaging, so the quality of the packaging would be very poor. And it's likely to also be poorer quality product. So these things related to supply chains and the value of the products you're purchasing become very important when you start to talk about or introduce a reuse and refill system. And this mapping activity allowed us to understand where do we need to focus and where do we not, realistically speaking, with regards to accumulation of households and accumulation of commercial activity. Now, till now, I think I've only covered the situation on the ground in Manshayd Dahshur. What is Dar Baid? What have we been trying to do? Not for a very long time. We've been trying to do now. I mean, if you look at our activities in Manshayd Dahshur, it's been 6 years, going into the 6th year. But Dar Baid, I would say we're going into our 8th month, technically speaking. This project, the aim of it was we started from the very beginning by creating a very large assumption bank. We wanted to replace existing supply chains of products in Manshayd Dahshur, in this village, from single-use products, single-use supply chains, generally speaking, for very basic things, vegetables, daily cooking ingredients, etc., to a refillable model. And for that refillable model to also be financially viable, it should not be more expensive, it should actually probably be cheaper and more accessible. And the first activity we did is we made a very large assumption bank, a very long list of assumptions, categorized into different types of assumptions, and we discussed this with the community. So a lot of it was community assumptions too. They told us their opinions on what works and what doesn't. So through several community engagement activities. And the focus we managed to reach at the end is we are going to focus on different tiers. We started to tier the different products based on two things. One, how regular do people purchase these products? And two, how much waste do they generate in terms of packaging? So we started to laser focus on packaging specifically and plastic packaging to be more accurate. And here, in this tiered approach, we start to realize there are products that are actually quite important to cover, but just impossible. Bread is an example. Bread in Egypt, unfortunately, on a bi-daily basis, families in Manshayd Dahshur purchase bread in plastic bags. Unfortunately, because it's part of a public sector supply chain that is subsidized, it would make it quite complicated for us to intervene in that regard. So even though it's very important, we realized from the consultations with the community and the municipality, not realistic. But it's much more realistic to engage in lentils or other forms of smaller but regularly purchased products as well. Even though it's more convenient, you get to start and test that out in the beginning. So what did we reach in terms of a model? And that's what we're activating this summer. We're actually testing this out in Manshayd Dahshur. So we sort of study the different supply chains that exist in Manshayd Dahshur. We're still building our knowledge of it. You start to realize in a rural village, and this is very common in Africa in general, not only in North Africa, you'll find a lot of informal supply chains and relationships between different stakeholders. And this plays a very big part in how waste is also generated from packaging. And you would need to sort of find ways to engage with these informal value chains, right? So based on that, we mapped these sort of relationships and we started to investigate at our level before we spoke to the community, how realistic is it to bring in a new service or disrupt this value chain? And there were two parts. There's a front end and there's a back end. There's a front end, which is engaging with people, with businesses, maybe even customer support if we're going to provide this as a paid service. And the back end, which is a lot of the storage, the supply chain, and the money, the financial management, etc. Our first finding was this cannot be a non-profit activity. This needs to have a viable business model for it to sustain itself, even though we don't have a business and we're a non-profit. But that was the first answer we've reached. Second thing was containment method was very important. How are people going to replace their products? If you go back a slide, you'll find that we've identified a tiered list. Are people going to go to a location and refill their product themselves? Or is someone going to pass by their houses and exchange the container? And this is a question we're currently testing. This is going to be part of our pilot. So should it be a collection system, a deposit system? What are the financial incentives in place? And obviously the conclusion we've reached is it has to be cheaper. If it's not cheaper and the other products are cheaper in packaging, we will not be able to compete. And here, please, it's very hard to compare in an urban area to a rural area. In a rural area, especially in the context of Egypt, the level of income is much lower. So this level of luxury does not exist, meaning I have to provide the financial incentive. And it cannot be overly subsidized. It needs to have a business case. But as we made the calculations, you start to find that some of these products do have a business case. Their business case exists. The tough part is the supply chain. The supply chain can be quite hard. And getting to the suppliers and storing the products, adequately keeping them in until people purchase them, this became the challenge we face at the moment. And then you start to create all these different tests and models, and we've tried different scenarios for containers, for packaging, for the cost of goods, for the even the type of machinery that we would use to collect the containers or to give them back, the type of setup you would have in an existing shop. One of the things we've sort of reached is it's more likely that we would not establish a new shop. We would use an existing shop. We have something called attar in a lot of villages, which is where people used to go and exchange herbs and exchange sort of lentils. Why not just utilize that model already, but just add more products in that model and even add liquids as well? So we've tested out a lot of these things, a lot of trial and error before even starting the pilot itself on the ground. So this is sort of the story of Dar Baid. We're now currently in applying this pilot itself. Of course, the application of the pilot is on a small sort of sample size. It's not on a very large sample size. That's largely due to funding constraints and also largely due to the fact that it's not very realistic to change things midway if there's a very big sample size. But to simplify our vision, after all these years, we started working on solid waste. As of 2024, we realized there is no way we can really tackle this problem without going at source, which is the products themselves. And what we've started to realize is the journey starts from the local community, or a person from the local community or a family needs a product. And from their product need, they either go to a supermarket or a shop or a bazaar and purchase their product, or they could receive, and that's the alternative we want to offer, weekly or monthly consumable or refillable product. And then you refill that product and there's no packaging waste and the waste is minimized. We're actually able to quantify the amount of packaging waste and it's substantive. There is 12% plastic waste in Manshir Dahshur and 80% of it is single-use plastic bags only, which is a very big number of plastic bags when you take it into consideration. On the other end, this is the scenario that we have at the moment, the existing scenario, where a lot of solid waste is generated. So we're testing this out now. We're sharing it as we go. It's a learning journey. We're actually looking forward, even if it fails, because then we would learn something new. And then it would help us in maybe restarting a very different case study. But at the moment, we're reaching a phase where we're going to be replacing the flow and the value chain for very specific products with a new supply chain model, with a model that is refillable instead. I think this was my last slide. So thank you very much. And hopefully this was useful.
Muchísimas gracias, Mohamed.
Thank you, Mohamed. This case is a sample that in some places of our region, reuse and refill is fantastic, and we need to do so to replicate in key sectors of our communities and in those places in which it has to be implemented. Research is key to understand opportunities and challenges and offer solutions that cater local needs. And of course, this is related to our next speaker, the implementation case that will be introduced by our next speaker. And this is one of the models that are being investigated. Now I will give the floor to Natalia Benjumea. Motainai Refill is the name of her company. She's an industrial engineer. She has a master in marketing and certified as a consultant in innovation and entrepreneurship. She leads and promotes from Medellin Motainai Refill. This is the first company in Colombia that offers a home refill service for biodegradable cleaning products. The project promotes the reuse of packaging and conscious consumption with a clear vision of sustainability applied to everyday life, which seeks to bring responsible solutions to households. Thank you, Natalia, for joining us. You have the floor.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very
Hola a
much.
todos.
Thank you.
Solamente un
Hi,
dato adicional
everyone.
sobre mi presentación y es que
I would
también soy
like
mamá de
to
Macarena,
say
una
that I
niña
am
de
also
3
a
años.
mom.
Entonces,
My
acá les voy a
daughter is
contar la historia
Macarena.
de nuestro
She's
proyecto.
3 years of age. And now I will talk about my project. Thank you.
Bueno, básicamente todo inició con una pregunta
It all
en el año
started with a
2020.
question
Estábamos en
in
plena pandemia
2020. We are
y pues la
in the
pregunta
middle of
era
the pandemic,
cuánta
and the
basura pueden
question
generar dos
was the
personas
waste
viviendo en
that
un
is
solo apartamento.
generated by two
Esa
people living in an
pregunta
apartment.
nos
So
llevó a
that
una
was the
pregunta un
first
poco más
question,
profunda
and it
y era,
took us
¿qué
to a
podemos
deeper
hacer
question.
nosotros
What can we
para
do
reducir esos
to
esos
reduce the
residuos que
waste
estamos
that we
generando en un
generate
hogar y cómo ayudamos al
in our
planeta?
home,
¿Cierto?
and how
Ahí
we
nació
help
la
the
idea de Multi
planet?
Night.
So
Nosotros lo que hacemos es
Multi-Night
que
was born in
prestamos un
this way.
servicio de
So what we
reciclado a
do
domicilio
is
de
we provide
productos
a refill
biodegradables
service
de
of
aseo personal y
biodegradable
de
cleaning
aseo del hogar.
products for
Y
personal
promovemos la
care and for
reutilización de
households.
envases,
We
ya sean
promote
los que las personas tienen en sus
packaging,
casas
reuse, and
o pueden
refill
utilizar
for
también
those
como
products
comprarlos de
that you have
nosotros por
at
primera vez
home. And
y
of course,
única
you
vez.
can buy
Luego este
from us
proyecto llegó a
for
mi
a single
familia.
time and for the first time.
Justamente en ese
So we took
momento
this project
nosotros
to our
ya éramos
family.
papás. Entonces como
Um,
que
we were
pues desde
parents
nuestra
then, my
imaginación
husband
nosotros
and
nos
I.
preguntábamos
So
pues qué
we
podemos
wonder
hacer para
what
dejarle
we
un
could
mejor
do
planeta a Macarena y a las
to
futuras
leave
generaciones.
Macarena and the future
Y
generations
también pues como
a
la
better
pregunta de
planet.
qué
So
planeta va a tener
this was the
Macarena cuando tenga
question.
la edad de
The
nosotros.
question was, what planet
Entonces, como que
Macarena, our
todo
daughter,
ese
will have in the
propósito de
future?
Multi-Night conectó
So
muy bien
this
con
is
el
the
propósito de
purpose
nuestra
of
familia y
multi-night,
somos
which
nosotros los que
connects
hoy en
to our
día
family,
guiamos pues
and
como
we
esta
are the
iniciativa.
ones who
Para nosotros, de hecho,
connect
Multi-Night
with
no
this
es un
initiative.
emprendimiento, se ha convertido como
Multi-Night
en
is
la
not
forma en la
just
que
a
nosotros
company,
podemos
it's the
cuidar el
way in
planeta
which
desde
we
casa.
take care of our planet from home.
Entonces, voy a contarles un poco
So I
cómo
will
ha sido
talk
como todo este
about
proceso.
our
Nosotros
experience.
nos
I will talk
enfrentamos
about our
pues como a varios
process.
retos. El
We had
primero
several
es que
challenges. The first
culturalmente no hay
challenge
como
was
una
that, culturally
educación
speaking, there's no
sobre cómo el sistema de
education in this
reuso. Las
regard.
personas,
There's no education about refill and
o
reuse.
sea, no conocen y no saben, no son
People do not
conscientes
know,
de que
people are
todas esas
not
pequeñas
aware
decisiones que toman
that
en su
all
día a
the
día pueden
decisions
ayudar o
that
no
we
al
make on a
planeta.
daily
También
basis
tenemos una
can
cultura de
help the planet.
reciclaje que
So
está
the
siendo pues
recycling
como
culture is
impulsada,
not there
pero
yet,
la de
but we are
reuso no existe.
fostering
O
this
sea, nosotros no
culture.
tenemos una norma,
Refill
nosotros no tenemos a
culture
nadie que nos
is
hable
not
del
there.
reuso
Nobody
aquí
talks
en
about
Medellín, pues en Colombia
refill
en
and
general. Entonces la
reduce in
cultura no
Medellin
existe,
and
no
in
la
Colombia
conocen.
in
Y
general.
lo
The
otro es
culture
como
is
toda la
not
parte
there.
logística, como
It
nosotros
is
hacemos
unknown.
el
Also, we
reciclado a
need to
domicilio,
mention
entonces como que es un reto al
logistics,
que nos enfrentamos
how
todos los
we
días, cómo
conduct the
optimizamos la ruta,
refill
cómo llegamos a las
initiative,
personas en los
how
momentos
we
en los que lo
take this
necesitan
system
y
to
bueno, todo
those
este
that need
proceso.
it, and the
Sin
process
embargo, pues hemos
itself.
llegado como a algunas cosas importantes que hemos
So
logrado,
there
como
are
por ejemplo,
some
no tenemos un
important
pedido mínimo para que las
things
personas
that we achieved.
soliciten
We
su
do not
servicio. De
have
esta
a
manera las
minimum
personas pueden
order in
solicitar el
this way.
servicio
People
justo en el
can
momento en el que
request
lo
this
necesitan.
service
Pueden
whenever
reusar sus
they need
envases en
it.
las
They
casas.
can
Y otra cosa
reuse
súper
their
importante que
packages
nosotros
in their
logramos
own
es que
place.
tenemos unos
And of
precios
course, we need
muy
to
similares
mention
a los
that the
productos que las
prices we
personas
have
ya
are
encuentran
very,
en
very similar
en
to
los
those
supermercados
products that
en su
people
vida
may
cotidiana.
find in
Entonces, son
supermarkets in their
productos que son
daily
accesibles a las
lives.
personas.
So products
Voy a
are
contarles lo que para mí es el corazón
very
de
accessible.
Multi-Night,
Okay, so
como la
now
parte
I will
más
talk
poderosa de este
about
proyecto y es como
multi-night and
este
our
ciclo
projects, and I
virtuoso,
will talk
además
about
súper
the
consciente con el
virtuous
medio ambiente, que
circle
es toda la parte
that
pues
is
que compone
aware
como
of
de
the
4 etapas,
environment.
que
And
son
there are
el
4 stages
abastecimiento, la
that is
compra, el
supply,
uso y el
purchase,
reuso.
reuse, and
Entonces,
refill.
algo que nos encanta contar,
So we
que de
love
pronto
the
muchas personas
story
se
and we
preguntan
love
cuando
talking
están sobre
about the
nosotros,
story.
es
Some
qué pasa desde el
people
inicio de esta
ask
cadena.
ourselves what
Nosotros
happens
con
at the
los proveedores
beginning
que
of this
trabajamos
circle.
logramos algo
we've achieved something that is very important in this circle. And it's very important to mention the refill stage because these products are received in such a way that we can refill them. The plastic is reused, it's refilled. We do not generate plastic. That is very important to mention. And of course, customers can contact us by WhatsApp, by social means to program the service. This is very useful. This is very convenient. This process is very easy and it's very convenient for customers. In the refill process, people find that this is very easy and they can access us very easily. So customers contact us. People can buy whatever they want, whatever they need, and whenever they need it. They just pay for the weight. They do not pay for the packaging or for the plastic. Then people use the product with a guarantee, and that is that the products that they are using are degradable, biodegradable products. So, of course, we are fostering reuse and reuse of plastic that would otherwise be wasted, and we also guarantee our customers that the products they are using are clean, they help the environment, and they are useful and healthy for themselves. Last but not least, the last step is reuse. Of course, this is the most important part of the project, and people can reuse the packaging they have at home. They don't have to be cleaning products or packaging. They can use any clean product they have at home. We have no restrictions whatsoever. And of course, they can acquire these products for the first time from us. So the cycle is repeated over and over again. And of course, this means responsible consumption. In this way, we are not generating waste. And before talking about what we achieved in this period, we would like to mention something that is very funny that that we at Motainai came up. Okay, in general, we leave our homes when we turn 30. This is different from other countries, from Europe, from the US. But in general, in Colombia, we live 70 or 80 years. But we wanted to do the math and to see the number of cleaning products people use in a lifetime. So the calculation is 2,800 products during a lifetime, including shampoos, conditioning, products for cleaning the house, and this is the impact that we can achieve if people incorporate this reuse culture. It would represent thousands and thousands of products and packaging that would not be circulating in our planet. So that is the goal we have, is to reduce these 2,800 packages. And what we have achieved since 2020, we've had over 25,000 packages that have been refilled, over 900 families that have been impacted. We are creating an aware community, and they fall in love of the project, and they find in Motainai the solution to provide love for the planet. Over 35,000 biodegradable products that are being refilled, reduced, and of course, our philosophy means that if many people do these small actions, the impact for the planet will be huge. This is our project. This is our dream. hopefully you can reply this in other parts of the world. I am very happy that you're listening to me because, of course, this can be
que se hayan
achieved
enamorado de
in
ustedes
other
por
parts of
tanto
the
tiempo
world,
siempre.
and
Muchas
hopefully you
gracias.
fall in love with this project. Thank you so much, and see you again. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Natalia. C'était
Thank you
vraiment
so much,
inspirant de
Natalia.
voir
This
qu'on
was
peut
really
commencer un projet à
inspiring
différentes
to see
échelles.
that we can
Merci
start a
beaucoup
project at
pour
different
ce
scales in different
partage
parts of the
et
world. Thank you so
merci
much for sharing
nous
this.
avoir montré
And thank you for
donc,
showing us the
aussi nous
history of your
rendre
project and to show us that
et on va
also we do this for
passer
our
à la
children. So now,
manifestation.
and
On va passer
your
à la
daughter is
dernière
really beautiful.
présentation
Thank
avec
you.
Moumar
Now
pour
we're
le
going
zéro
to
déchet
talk
carbone.
about the last presentation
Alors,
today
Moumar
with
est un ingénieur géographe
our
spécialiste dans la gestion des
speaker today, who
déchets
is
dans
a
les bâtiments.
geographer and
Il est
engineer who
coordinateur de la
specializes in waste
Fondation Zéro Déchet
management
Sénégal
and
et il
climate
a
change. He's the
mené plusieurs
coordinator
projets
for
pour des actions
the Zero Waste Senegal
et
Association, and he's led
environnementales.
several plastic and organic waste
Notamment en
management
partenariat avec
projects in
l'OIM
Senegal, including
et
a
aussi sur
project to
des fonds
integrate
publics
organic
africains
waste management in 11
pour
African
mettre en
countries,
place une nouvelle
supported
OCDE
by the
par
Climate and Clean Air
et
Coalition.
lutter
And
contre
the
le changement
project
climatique.
is to
Voilà,
combat
donc
climate change
c'est
through the recovery
représenté
of
l'association sur
organic waste. He's
plusieurs
also
nations
represented his association in
internationales
several
et je
national and
laisse
international activities related to
donc
waste
Momar,
management.
je te
So,
laisse
Moma,
prendre
this is up to you now, and you have the
ton
floor,
projet avec nous.
and you can present what you want to share with us today.
Bonjour tout le monde.
Good afternoon,
Merci,
everyone.
Farima.
Thank you
Est-ce
so
que vous
much,
m'entendez?
Farima. Can
Oui,
you
je
hear
vais
me?
partager pour toi.
Yes, we can hear you, and we share the screen for you. Thank you.
C'est bon, tu peux y aller.
You can go ahead.
Ok, merci beaucoup, Farima.
Okay, thank you so much, Farima.
Je suis
So, as Farima explained to you, I am Momar,
coordinateur de l'association.
and I am a coordinator at the Zero Waste Senegal Association, and I'm part of the working group working on plastic with Gaia and also other partners in Africa. So I just want to present our organization here in Senegal. It is a Senegalese Association for the Protection of the Environment that campaigns for the reduction and more sustainable management of waste in Senegal. It was created in 2018, and our office is made up of citizens, social entrepreneurs, and sustainable development experts. And as I said earlier, we are a member of the international network Gaia and Break Free from Plastic and other organizations here at the national levels, like Andando Bayi Plastic, which is here in Senegal. And we obviously have 3 branches here in Dakar since 2018, St. Louis, and Ziguinchor. Next slide, please. So, as you know, Senegal produces more than 4 million tons of waste per year. And among this waste, we have 270,000 tons of plastic, which represent about just less than 15%, actually 12% of plastic that are recycled. And in terms of imports of plastic, Senegal started at 60,000 tons of plastic imported in 2010, and now we import 211,000 tons in 2023, even though Senegal actually signed the Basel Convention, which bans the import of plastic into Senegal. But but in terms of, we are actually, in terms of waste and polluting the ocean, we are the 21st most polluting country in the ocean. And the country has tried to make efforts to fight against plastic pollution through different laws that were voted. The first one dates back to 2015. And then we had the most recent law in 2020, which is the sale and import import of single-use plastic products law, but unfortunately, this law has not been implemented since 2020. It's been 5 years, and this law is not implemented because we don't have alternatives to accompany this law. So we actually tried to carry out a study to see what people think about pollution in Senegal, and you can find this study. We have a report that's available, and we also had an analysis with our foundation. And currently, I have asked to share some information because I am in talks with different MPs on the issues of waste management and plastic waste management to try to explain the issues that we are facing. Farima, can you hear me? So just to talk about the project that I wanted to share with you in terms of reuse. It is a project called My Zero Waste Restaurant. It's a project that really wanted to implement different instructions related to reuse and refill solutions, and it was created in 2019, and we launched it with a pilot restaurant, which is the Copacabana Sub-Village restaurant. And the first thing that we did was to check the production of waste in that restaurant. So we decided after that to choose 3 different labels of waste that we wanted to eliminate. So these 3 labels are now banned in this restaurant. And the idea is to eliminate all these waste, which is plastic bottles, disposable straws, as well as coffee capsules. Obviously, we try to help the restaurant to find alternatives. And this project was supported by the Portuguese embassy. We also had a lot of support from Gaia. And these 3 labels that we have developed has the aim of our project is for Dakar and Senegal to commit to less waste and plastic waste. So we try to sensitize and raise awareness through the committed restaurant, and we try to raise awareness among the community. We try to avoid these 3 types of waste in the restaurants, and we try to offer different alternatives that we implemented throughout the years. And so we have different alternatives that we implemented to facilitate this transition. And you can see here the different products. You can see the different solutions that we have and the alternatives. For example, for the disposable straws, you have reusable straws made of glass, for instance. And we have Tifa straws, glass straws. And Tifa, I don't know if you know what this is, but it is actually a kind of plant, invasive plant that we have in Senegal. But we can actually use it to offer alternative solutions to plastic. We're also talking here about plastic bottles, and we replace them with much bigger bottles, 19-liter water bottle, and also there are a lot of places where we can buy these very big bottles. In terms of alternatives for the restaurants, these are the tools. We also have different alternatives for fruit juice bottles. And we obviously, you can find all the different providers on our website who are offering these alternatives, and this will facilitate the use of these alternatives. Next slide, please. So that's what I was just saying about the website, where you're going to find our providers. And We also had an impact report, which we did at the Copacabana Surf Village restaurant. And this is a document that you can find. And if you want some more information, you can read this impact report. And then on our side, we try to promote different labeled restaurants. We have different articles on social networks, and we create events to promote this project and the different labels and the restaurants that are committed to zero waste.
Newsletter Zero Waste Stories. Voilà, on a beaucoup parlé de ce projet.
And we talked a lot about this project through different events. Next slide, please.
Voilà, et pour l'impact
in terms of impact, we obviously started in Dakar, but now we have 4 different sites. We have in Dakar and Saint Louis at the north of in the north of Dakar, and we also have Petite Côte and Sine Saloum. And our project, what we try to do with our project is to try to get more restaurants. To this day, we have 68 restaurants that are committed to zero waste. And we want more restaurants to use these labels. For instance, we have different labels for the straws or for the bottles or for the coffee capsules, and they all position themselves to avoid plastic waste. So the restaurant can choose actually which labels they want to use. Maybe they want to use they want to use one label first, and then try to commit to a second label and maybe a third, so that they can reach a zero waste solution. So in terms of quantity, you can see the amount of straws and disposable straws that we avoided. More than 100,000 straws have been avoided. More than 46,000 plastic bottles have been avoided. And this shows you the impact of this project to fight against pollution and plastic pollution for that matter. In terms of commitment, we obviously said several things to make sure the restaurants to make sure the restaurant commit. We talk about health, we talk about reputation, we talk about money. We know that there is a lot of gain in terms of saving for the restaurants, in terms of purchasing, but there's also gains in terms of health, and there's also a reduction of plastic contamination, and obviously for reputation, it gives a very good image of the restaurant among the population. And also we can share information on the impact of plastic on health, and also we can share information on how to reduce plastic pollution. Next slide. Omar, I think we are maybe going to leave the participants to read the slides. If you can maybe make the last point of your presentation, because we are running out of time. It's almost the end of the webinar. So maybe you can make your last point now. Maybe, yes. Maybe let's go to the last slide then.
Vas-y. Voilà, donc là, non, avant.
Okay, next slide. Voilà. Previous one. Donc, yes, this one. So, no, after that.
Oui, okay, tu peux laisser les deux.
Yes, you can leave this one. So, the project today, for this project, we are trying to see how we can avoid disposable containers, and we try to develop different labels for disposable containers and reusable containers. And we are trying to scale this up at some point. And we also have a project for compost. And yeah, this is what we're trying to do now at this point of the project. This is it. This is me. Thank you. Thank you so much, Omar. And thank you so much to your association to be the pioneers in Senegal and to work on the reuse of products. And I see that there were a lot of questions that were asked by the participants. Some participants already responded. Before you leave, I just wanted to share something with you in the chat. Maybe can you write in the chat if there's something that you enjoyed in the session today? And if you didn't put your name, you can write your name down again. But it would be interesting for us to know what you have enjoyed in the webinar, what was the most informative and the most interesting. In terms of the questions that were asked from the chat, we will take all of them and also all the answers that were given, and we will try to have something maybe a bit more holistic because some questions we actually can't see them. So if you need contacts of the different speakers, please don't hesitate to contact us, Maria or myself, so that we can send your questions to the speakers. And before we ending this webinar, we wanted to apologize for taking a bit longer than expected. We had some technical problems, but first we would like to thank all the speakers.
Pour nous, c'est important de voir.
For us, it's very important to see that the global south, we can see that that reuse and refill is something that already exists. And we see that the approaches are very different, and we can see there's a Senegalese restaurant, and we see also how dishes and cutlery can be used for these solutions. And but there's a common thread here is that it creates value where it's needed, and it shows that transition can be just and can be also inclusive and real. So we will invent our own solutions that are anchored in our territories, and I will really make sure that after everything that has been said by the different speakers, I will make sure to stay inspired by what has been said. So we will send you a podcast that was done on the reuse and refill, and I actually speak in that podcast. And I will also send you quotes that you have maybe sent us, and obviously you will get the slides and the recording in the 4 languages. Thank you so much to have taken part in this webinar. It's been really interesting. Obviously, we didn't have enough time. We never have enough time to talk about all of this. But thank you so much for all the speakers who have prepared this webinar so well. And it's great to have a webinar like this. We can exchange ideas. And thank you, Andrea and Dee, and all the speakers and panelists that have spoken today. Thank you so much to everyone who has worked with us today. Marie-Esther, you have the floor.
Muchísimas gracias también. Me junto a las palabras de Farima.
Thank you very much. As Farima has mentioned, I would like to thank you all. I would like to thank you again for those of you who try to look for different ways to reuse and to refill. Thank you so much.
Au revoir tout le monde. Bye bye. Et on reste en contact.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye,
Let's stay in
everyone.
touch, please. Thank you so much.